Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Experience, as it said, with me, Paddy.
And me, Dave G.
And it's good to be back. It's been a while. I was having a look at the video of our last actual show, and it was the 14th of November, believe it or not, was the last time we were on air. So 2 months ago was the last time we actually aired the show.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I mean, I know, obviously, you know, yourself and myself have been on our own shows, but it was the 14th of November since the last time we did a paranormal experience. So I wonder what paranormal's been happening since then.
Well,
we'll wait and see, shall we? But anyway, so on the 14th of November, we were talking about pseudoscience and all the different, and we went through all the different pseudosciences. We talked about the 2012 Doomsday Scare, ancient aliens, the Apollo moon landing, which obviously people are saying is a hoax.
Did I tell you got a fantastic Lego set for Christmas? The Apollo moon lander.
Yeah, well,
moon lander.
Yeah, you did, yes. You put it together yet?
Yes, it's together.
Oh, you have done it. Right.
Yeah.
Had you done it the last time I was here?
I can't remember. And I've got the Saturn V as well, the big Saturn. It's 5. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Santa was good.
Right. Is that the one that's on top of your unit?
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen that one. Right. Yeah. So it wasn't ancient aliens that made them then.
No.
We've got Demi in the. I nearly said it again. We've got Demi in Facebook.
Demi, hello Demi. How are you doing?
Give her a wave there, Dave.
Waving Demi.
So did the ancient aliens come and build it? Is what I was going to ask you.
I wish they had. Like, to be fair, I had Lego figure.
I was going to say you felt like an ancient alien by the time it was finished.
No, that's just a standard feeling for me. To be fair, but never mind.
So then we had the Apollo moon landing hoax, or what people say. You know, to this day, people still unconvinced. We spoke about Sonia's theory about how the moon landing did happen, but not particularly in '69 when they said it happened.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because apparently the Chinese, I believe, are actually planning a mission very, very shortly.
Right.
The Americans have announced that they're going to go back.
Yeah.
The Chinese are going to. So I think the Chinese.
Yeah, Donald Trump's probably going to move up there because it's the only place that people are wanting, isn't it?
I think so. He's going to have his own planet.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Samantha's with us as well. Oh, Samantha.
Hello, Samantha.
Nice to see you back. So yeah, and then we talked about astrology.
Yes.
And how
yes.
How we do. I mean, how
actually, I think you've got to make an announcement, haven't you? Talking along astrology, sort of mediumship.
Why?
Eric.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. Sorry about that, Dave. Yeah, I knew there was something I was going to mention. Obviously, as we know, since we were last on there, sadly, the world lost Derek Kura. Now, some of his, obviously, you know, I mean, to a lot of people, he was a joke. You know, whether it was true what he did or not, the problem is sometimes for entertainment on the show, he did make things up. And that's one of the ways he was caught, because he made something up. Which is really sad. Reese has joined us. Hello, Reese.
Hello, Reese.
And but whether he could actually do what he did, he went down the whole commercialized route, rather than sticking with Aaron's here.
Hello, Aaron.
And Stephen.
Hello, Stephen.
I'm sure he'll probably join us in the chat room at some point.
Yeah, it's just me and Christine in the chat room.
Aaron's in probably one of the haunted places in the world at the moment.
Where is he?
He's up in Edinburgh.
Is he?
He's just been in Edinburgh Castle today. So
did he feel anything, Aaron? Was there anything there?
He saw the 1 o'clock gun.
Did he?
Because he posted on Facebook. Harry, my grandson, was crying leading up to it. Awesome. But I said he must be destined to be a squaddy, because literally the second the gun fired, nothing. He went deadly silent, and you know, ready for action as it was. You know, exactly. Yeah. So I said he's destined to be a squaddy. But yeah. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So Derek. Yeah. So sadly, obviously, we lost Derek Kura, and whatever you think about him, it's still a human person. Still a human person? What is a human person? It's still a human being that sadly passed away. After a long illness. I mean, I don't know if you follow him on Facebook or whatever. But I did, and you know, his last message was about, you know, like sort of giving people hope and this, that, and the other, and he was struggling with his illness and what have you. And then he's obviously, you know, sadly passed away. Heard a few ghost stories from the castle, Aaron says.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I mean, I actually stayed in the castle when I was in the military police, and they reckon it was haunted. I mean, I never saw nothing, but they did say it was haunted.
I think that's definitely one that we'll probably have to lock Christine up at 4 for the evening.
It'd be nice to do a show from the castle, but I wouldn't like to think how much they would charge us. I mean, Newcastle Keep were going to charge us £600 for the night.
Yeah,
and that was
800 quid.
I think no, that it was 695, but then we had to pay something else. So I think it worked out. But Chiltern Castle was £1,000, so Edinburgh Castle. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit out of our range at the moment. Yeah. But yeah, so obviously, you know, we'd like to dedicate this show to Derek, and hopefully, you know, he doesn't come and visit us during it. You know, doesn't get upset.
I think he's been in this afternoon.
Well, I think he probably has, yeah, because we've had a bit of technicality. Yeah, I can't even speak. You know, we've had some.
Was that a cup of tea you had before we started?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. What of them slipping me tea? Yeah. So we've had some technical difficulties. One of them was we couldn't get on the camera. Hopefully, you can now see us on Facebook. I'm hoping the glare off my head isn't spoiling your view.
You pledged it before we came on air.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I had no choice. I don't know. Dave, we're like sort of 20 minutes in, and we haven't even get anywhere near the paranormal yet.
12 minutes.
I was sanding my radiator down, taking the old paint off, and then I looked in the mirror, and I looked like I'd been down the mine. Literally, my whole face was like rusty. You know, off the paint, whatever. And my hair, I was ginger for a period of time, you know. So obviously, you know, I obviously.
Did you stand on your fingers?
Damn, you know, I can't run my fingers to it. If I run my fingers to it, I'm frightened kids have fouled it. But anyway.
Was it all time's sake?
Exactly, aye. So obviously, as I said, we've had a bit of technical difficulties, but hopefully you can see us, you can hear us, and everything's fine. So astrology, as we mentioned, crop circles. Now, you mentioned something about this just before we came on here, Dave.
Yeah. I was listening into one of the Howard Hughes, Unexplained with Howard Hughes. He did a podcast, and I handed one of the guys on, and we're talking about the crop circles.
What
he said is that he, in his estimation, he reckons that 20% of them are real, as in by a natural phenomena.
Right.
And then he says 80% of them, the other 80% are actually.
Yes, we have. You're absolutely right, Christine. It's not that we're not mirrored. We have actually swapped places. Yes, I normally sit on that side. We've got we're doing the Ant and Dec thing. You know, people normally associate me on the right and Dave on the left. So we've done the Ant and Dec thing, and we've swapped around just to confuse everybody.
We've had a bit of a studio turnaround.
Yeah. Well, hence the reason why you're looking at the top of my head. Anyway, so everybody who was on, please join us again because we've lost you all. Yeah. But anyway, so you're on about your crop circles. Sorry.
Crop circles. So they reckon that 20% of all crop circles are actually all crop circles. 20% of all crop circles are actually real, as in they are placed there by a phenomena.
Right.
There's 80%. Now that 80%, half of them reckons that it's a human person that's being guided by spirit or alien form.
Even you said it, a human person.
Yeah, like a human. I don't know.
Oh, we've got Samantha.
Yeah, hello Samantha. But it's actually saying that it's that they're guided by. It's a human,
right,
which is guided by either spirit or it's guided by alien presence.
Right. So what are they trying to do? What are they just like annoying the farmers or something?
It's supposed to be a communications thing. It's supposed to
be
a thing.
We did actually mention that, didn't we? That Rebecca's joined us as well.
Hello, Rebecca.
So yeah, we did actually mention that it's to do with the coded.
It's a coded communication. Yeah. A lot of people, when I've actually sort of got into it, what I've actually been saying is they've been talking about
how rude you two. We didn't cut you off on purpose.
What they're trying to say is it's actually they're communicating, and it's some kind of mathematical thing, and it's they reckon that part of it could be an ancient form of the Mayan communication, as in
right.
But it depends on what they are. Apparently, they're highly mathematical,
Right.
and
Right.
they're also it's to do.
That's probably why I can't understand them.
So you do
Mervs, yeah, hello Merv.
looks pretty, but you know.
What, Merv looks pretty?
No, not.
I was going to say,
Sorry, Merv, we're doing it. So, but
Rebecca says hi.
Hi, Rebecca. So again, it's one of those things where it's, you know, they're sort of saying that some people. The interesting part for me is that somebody was actually guiding them. So there'd be a spirit form or an alien form was guiding them, but he said there's 20%. And I've tried to find out some more information that we did. If you remember, we talked about how they analysed some of the strands of the material, you know, the corn, etc.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried to find a bit more information, but it was literally just to the fact that they forensically analysed them, and they've said that there was no. It's not done by force.
Yeah, you were saying this the last time.
Yeah.
It's done by compression rather than by somebody just breaking it.
It's nothing to do.
So it's like if somebody like literally landed on top of it and compressed
no, it's
it.
a non-physical contact. That's what they've actually said. So what they've actually said is it's they reckon, you know, when you get a heat source on something. So say like, I don't know, like a laser beam firing at something. And this is an example. They're not saying that.
Yeah.
What it actually breaks down the molecules of the wheat, barley, or whatever it is, and then it actually falls down because they reckon there's a surrounding wind. Now, there's one famous one which took place, I think it was in Suffolk,
right?
And they were talking about a big wind. There was it was very, there was a still night, but there was a lot of wind around this field, and they saw there was like an orb circling.
That we did mention that the last show, how some of them are caused by these whirlwinds and whatever. And pushes the grass over and snaps it. And
So that's got it, but it's to do with it. But when they've actually analysed them, they've actually said there was quite a bit of heat involved in it. So it was like, if you can imagine, they said the way that it's done, where we discussed, I believe we discussed about the plank of wood with a rope, and they had it on the foot in the.
Yes, we did that, yeah, because that was the most famous hoax, wasn't it? That these guys were like one of them would hold a bit of string and the other one would go out and
that one that we're talking about is
Mandy Quigley's joined us.
Mandy. They've actually showed a few different types sort of, you know, of how it was actually done, but this one is what they say, this 20% bracket actually falls into the fact that there's been no contact made with it, so it's actually done by it has to be some kind of either force of wind or heat, but they reckon there's an intense amount of heat gone into it, because the fiber's actually damaged as if it's been cooked, but not sufficiently.
So
it was quite interesting, really. I should have bookmarked it and obviously gone through, but we'll have a look at it for the next show.
And then we talked about the faces on Mars.
Yes, we put the great
the Knights of Sidonia. I think we spoke about them. We spoke about the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes,
and. We skipped the next one because we said the next one is a big one. Cryptozoology. I mean, that's massive. Did you know cryptozoology? Did you know that gorillas used to be part of cryptozoology in Europe? Because people from Africa and places like that would tell us about gorillas, and nobody believed that monkeys or primates could be that big.
Right.
So they were part of. So because of the fact of remember what pseudoscience is? It's the fact of there's scientific evidence but no scientific fact, or something like that.
I was going to say.
I can't remember what it is, what the exact wording of it is, but because people were saying there's such a thing as a gorilla, we as Europeans had never seen gorillas, so we didn't believe there was such a thing. So to us, gorillas actually came under the umbrella of cryptozoology at one
it's
point.
like the what do they call it?
And the giant squid as well. That also was part of the cryptozoology.
I tell you what was over Christmas. There was a really really interesting one on the guy who plays Zachary Quinto, who plays
Oh, it was Spock. Yeah.
the new ones. He's done a really good thing on, I think it's Discovery Channel or History Channel.
Right.
And they did an In Search of Nessie.
Right.
Now,
yeah, that comes under cryptozoology.
Yeah. Well, they did this really, really interesting thing, and the thing is you sit there and you think, no, they showed you the famous photograph where it's just got the neck and the head.
Yeah. Well, that was proven to be fake.
It was proven to be fake.
Well, the guy, it wasn't proven to be fake. The guy who took
he said, is
it the surgeon's hoax or something?
The surgeon's photo.
Yeah.
He said that was, obviously he came out on his deathbed and said that was fake. However, what they've actually done is they've discovered that they've tied it in with somewhere over in the Netherlands,
right,
where there's a similar animal.
Right.
Has been seen, and they actually think that this is Nessie
swimming backwards and forwards,
because there's only enough food to sustain Nessie.
Yeah.
When obviously the red salmon go in from the sea to breed, etc. And it was over 2.
Yeah, because they're saying that the loch itself doesn't have enough fish to sustain an animal as big as
that was it. But what they've actually did is on this program they actually timelined everything. It was brilliant. It really interesting, and they timelined it. So Nessie spent a few months in Loch Ness.
Yeah.
At the feeding time.
Yeah.
And then disappeared across, and then he was loose in the North Sea, going across and commuting. They reckon he was commuting backwards and forwards between the two places. He or she was commuting.
Samantha says you need to follow John Sixsense, where spirit meets science on Facebook, guys, and then see if you believe it or not.
Oh, right, okay. What was that, John?
John Sixsense.
Right, let's have a look at that then.
But so I mean, obviously, cryptozoology is massive because we've got Bigfoot and you've got the chupacabra and all that in there. So as I said, cryptozoology will go on for weeks by itself. So we'll leave that for the time being.
Yeah.
And then we've got your favourite, Dave.
My favourite?
Yeah. Well, what's your favourite subject?
Ghosts, spirits?
No. What's your favourite? Or should I say, what's your favourite subject?
As in sort of old photos and
Flat Earth Society.
Oh God, yes.
So we obviously spoke about the Flat Earth Society.
Is there any flat earthers out there? Ring up, please.
Dave just really wants to talk to a flat earther. He's not bothered where you're from. He's not bothered about anything. He just wants to talk to you.
Genuinely, honestly, we haven't had that challenge yet. We need that.
Sarah's joined us.
Hello, Sarah. I need to. I genuinely need to speak to that person.
Yeah. So if you're a flat earther, if you believe the Earth is flat, then please get in touch. If you go onto the website and go onto the contact page, then you'll see all the numbers on there.
Diane's in the chat room.
Dave normally reads them out, but I'm not going to get Dave to read them out. Hello, Diane. I'm just going to. If you go onto either ambornradio.com or ambornradio.co.uk and go onto the contact tab on the top, it's got the phone number for you to ring us, the WhatsApp number, etc. So you can get to do it. Well, I can see you died, Dave. So go on.
So give it the mobile number. Okay, the mobile number, guys, is 07742 660483. That's 07742 660483. If you want to text the show, you can text it on that one because that's obviously on the WhatsApp as well. And we've got another one which is 60777. Start your message with 89MX4. That's 89MX4 to 60777. And again, we've got the WhatsApp group there as well. So if you want to get in contact with us, that'll be absolutely
fantastic. And Sarah says, hey.
Hey, hello.
So there you go. So if you're a flat earther, then please ring Dave to put him out of his misery. And if you're a fellow of the next as well, ring and explain what it actually means, because the next one's Hollow Earth.
I've heard about this one as well. This is supposed to be that there's another world inside the center of the Earth, as in the Jules Verne.
Yes, it is. Yeah, Jules Verne and Doug McClure, as Diane said the last time, because obviously it was Doug McClure who was a Journey to the Centre of the Earth or something.
Something like that, yeah.
And then Brendan Fraser did it not so long ago, didn't he?
Yes, and it was also referred to in the not Marvel DC. Somebody's going to throw something at the radio there.
Yeah, I'm getting them two mixed up, Dave.
Thinking of a certain person not a million miles away. If anything comes round and hits us in the back of the head.
If you get them two confused, Dave, then there's definitely something wrong.
DC Aquaman, I believe it was talked about where he goes to meet his mother in the film Aquaman.
Yeah, I've seen it. I saw it not so long ago. I don't know whether did he go to the centre of the earth or something?
Yes, that's supposed to be where he goes to meet his mum when he gets washed up on the cheek.
Oh, is that the centre of the earth? Is it? Right. Don't be spoiling for people, dear.
Well, that's hardly spoiling it.
Wait, he's telling them that he can't meet his mother. But anyway, so then we had the megalithic or 366 geometry theory. Now, I said this actually made sense because it's based on the rotation of the sun.
Right.
So it makes sense that a circle would have 366 degrees rather than 360 because it's based on the orbit of the Earth around the sun.
Yes.
Which is obviously 366 days, isn't it? So it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense that David does.
Yeah, he's coming out.
Well, there's definitely something coming out of my tongue. That's what it is. And then we finished off the night with the mythical creatures.
Mythical, yeah.
When we talked about the belief that fairies, elves, pixies, gnomes, and other beings exist.
Yeah, and gremlins.
Gremlins, yeah, we've had plenty of them. We've had plenty. Whoa, what was that?
Oh, this,
oh, you get the message.
Oh yes, I've got a message there. There we go. That's what happens. Somebody sent us a photo.
All right.
Awesome.
Is it the flat Earth?
No, it's not. It's not. It's actually a very good friend of mine.
The centre of the Earth was Pat Boone. Pat Boone.
Excellent.
Pat Boone. How old is that film? I'm sure there was a more up to date one than Pat Boone. I mean, how long has Pat Boone been dead? Don't know how many times I want to say Pat Boone. How many times has Pat Boone been dead for? How many times has Pat Boone been dead? Only the once. But how many years has he been dead for?
Oh, yeah. You can tell we haven't been on for a while, can't you?
That was the original, right? Okie dokie. Well, Christine, I don't want to be rude, but some of us aren't old enough to remember that. Did they even have films when Pat Boone was on?
I can hear the shoe winging its way from Cromlin now. Smack!
I've got a couple hours before it hits me. It's coming all the way from... and it was the best. Ooh, Christine says.
Yeah. That's all.
Exactly, yeah. I thought she was doing the Carry On film. But anyway, so... believe that fairies, elves, pixies, gnomes, and other beings exist. And as we said, we had plenty of gremlins attacking us tonight, getting into the Facebook and on the computers and whatever. Hence the reason why we were slightly delayed.
Half an hour.
Yeah.
So we were playing music.
I thought I liked you. Everybody likes me.
Is that Chris?
Yeah, everybody likes me. So, probably where we should have really started, considering it's called The Paranormal Experience.
Yes.
Pseudoscience related to the paranormal.
Okay.
So.
Sorry.
The thing is, Dave, because I'm connected to your computer, I'm getting the ding in my ear as well.
I actually thought I'd switched it off. It wasn't going live.
I don't know. Can everybody out there keep hearing a ding?
Can I?
I'm waiting for that second.
Waiting for a reply.
Yeah.
Can you keep hearing a ding, guys? Because it's
because Dave's having a full-scale conversation on Facebook here.
About I'm Bruce Sweets.
What?
I'm Bruce.
That's got nothing to do with flat Earth.
No. It hasn't got anything to do with flat Earth. But,
so anyway, we're eventually going to get on with the paranormal. Yes, the paranormal experience has only been going for half an hour, and we're getting nowhere near the paranormal. But here we go. So, everyone loves a good ghost story. Is that right? Well, yes. I hope so, because otherwise, why would you be listening to the paranormal experience? But what if there was a way to communicate with a family member who was passed on? Paranormal activity as a whole has often been debunked by scientists. But let's take a look at some of the particular practices that are often scoffed, but could be true. Yes,
Okay.
no dings, Sarah says.
No dings.
All right.
I've
So
turned
just
it-
me then.
No, no.
It must be me hearing here that nothing.
I've turned it off now.
So anyway, the first one, and as I said, Dave, you like this one, the very first one, because it's channeling.
Yeah.
The art of the communication with a spirit through a person. So a person's body being taken over by the spirit for the purpose of communication has been around for millennia. There are countless stories of shaman, witch doctors, prophets, and others who claim to hear voices or receive some supernatural knowledge from the spirit world. Channelers, also sometimes known as psychic mediums, often use what are called spirit guides. Going back to Derek Kura, obviously he had Sam, didn't he, as his spirit guide. Friendly spirits who give them knowledge and help them on their spiritual journeys.
This is quite, obviously this is quite close to heart for me.
Yeah.
Spending a number of years in the spiritualist church and stuff like that, and communication stuff. And I do genuinely believe that there's the ability to communicate
right.
when you pass away.
Right.
It's happened on numerous occasions to me where I've been to churches and had people I've never met before. I think probably one of the best ones that happened to me was this one night. We were across at the one in Jesmond. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Osborne Road. And there's a
I didn't know there was a church on Osborne Road.
Fabulous.
No, there's plenty of pubs.
There's a fabulous. But this one's full of spirits.
So there.
So no, we used to go there quite regularly and stuff. But I think this is probably it was either the first or the second time I'd ever been. And it was one of them ones where you initially, for me, it was had to be quite scientific, where you were walking in and sort of you didn't talk to anybody because you didn't want to give anything away.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And it was fabulous. I sat at the back of the room. She said, "Can I please come to the gentleman at the back of the room?" And I went, "Yeah." She went. She says, "I've got this lady." She said, "She's dancing round and round."
You told me this story, yeah.
She's dancing round and round and round, and she's really happy. And she's coming through, and she's bringing a little dog. It was a white dog with grey spots.
Yeah.
Automatically knew that was my first ever dog, Cass.
Right.
But this woman, I couldn't quite place it at first.
Yeah.
Until I spoke to my dad and said, "Oh, it was really weird. I was at the church the other night. And this is what I would suggest is really, really good evidence."
Yeah.
Is I turned around and says, "Oh, so this woman was she's talking about this woman dancing around us and stuff." And then, "Oh, that was your grandma."
Right.
She's your grandma.
Was a bit of a dancer, was she?
Well, when I knew her, she was riddled with arthritis and she couldn't get up out of a chair without assistance.
Right.
So obviously, for me, it was a bit of a strange one.
Yeah.
But I went back another time and it was somebody completely different.
Right.
This person stood up and they said, "I've got this lady coming to you and she's indicating that she's with you." So she said, "Will you take the message?"
Yeah.
So I said, "Yes, no problem at all." He said, "I have the name Leonora."
Right.
Which
strange name.
I fell off my chair.
Yeah.
With that one.
Well, it's a name that, it's
not
you can't just sort of pluck out of the hat,
no,
can you?
It's like I said, I've seen, obviously being quite interested in it, I have been off all over the place and I have seen different mediums and things like that. I have been to different churches and stuff.
Yeah.
And I have seen some people where I've paid money to go and see them.
Yeah.
And they've stood at the back of the room and went, "Hello, I've got the name of John. Can anybody understand the name of John?"
I think that's the problem, isn't it? A lot of people. I mean, there's.
And they stood at the back of the room and went, "Hello, I've got."
Oh my God! Weird. Why did you do that?
Paddy's blown up the studio.
So yeah, but there's a lot of people do that where the I'm getting a John. No, I don't know anybody called John. John, is it John? George? I know it's George. Oh, George, that's it. And they instantly changed because of the fact that obviously they were wrong with what they were saying. Also, there was one. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the film, but it's about James Randi, and he did a one where he's
a bit of.
Diane says Lewis and her have a password if anyone says they can contact us.
Yeah.
So they obviously have decided to have something where Pat Boone's apparently alive.
Yeah.
and
He's back.
yeah, it's all the times that he's died. This time he hasn't. So obviously, if they pass, and then God forbid either of them do, because one's my sister, one's my brother-in-law. So obviously, I don't want it to happen to either of them. But if one of them was to pass, then the other one would know that if it was them, that they came back. If somebody like sort of if they were making a cup of tea and
my gran,
they sneak away and went.
My gran passed away.
Constantinople. Don't even know why Constantinople. But
my gran passed away last year. As you know, she had a stroke, and she and my granddad had a magic. They had a magic word, like a word. And my mum and my nan have got that word as well. There's a word there. So obviously, if we go to church, well, my mum wants. I think my mum wants to do it, but I think next time we go to church with my mum, and I know what the word is.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to say what it is.
No.
But I know what that word is, and I've got to be honest with you. That word, you couldn't guess it in a million years.
Yeah. Well,
you have to be in a specific
that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if it's a word that could be guessed, then people will guess it. Like it's no good me having Aaron as my password, because then people would go, he said Aaron as his password. It must be right.
He's like I said, it's I do keep a very open mind about it. And again, this is my belief. I don't expect anybody else to force on anybody. I have seen some fantastic mediums where it's made the hair on the back of your neck stand on end. I've seen some that you kind of frankly want to go.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying about this James Randi, he did a one where he got a communication guy who was like a wireless expert, and and this guy was on the stage and he was like calling out people's names. So he's like Dave Goldsmith, and obviously you would go to the stage and whatever, and then he'd like sort of tell you things about you.
Yeah.
Like because what he did was he got everybody to fill a card in with the name, the address, who they wanted to contact, and this and the other. So he would say, Dave, from South Shields.
Yeah.
You're obviously like, oh, it's me. And then you would say, I've got your gran, and she wants to sort you and this, that, and the other. But what they found was this guy who was sitting outside the system was sitting with a scanner, just an ordinary radio scanner, and he was sitting there just tuning away on it, and eventually he got the wavelengths that this guy on stage and his secretary were talking over walkie-talkie. Like, he had an earpiece in, so obviously his secretary's sitting there going, right, in the audience we've got a dear from South Shields, and he wants to talk to his gran. So obviously it would be like,
being honest, in that situation there, if that was me approaching, if that was me actually sort of walking in there and going, right, okay, I would like turn on my heels and walk out if I had to fill in any information or anything like that at all, because you'd automatically know. But then again, I mean, I've sat in some churches through the time sort of that I was going to Spiritual's church quite regularly. I mean, I was going maybe once, twice a week. And some of the things I've actually witnessed and some of the things I've actually seen is just, I still can't explain that.
The problem I have, and I don't disbelieve anything you're saying, Dave, but as I've said this many, many times, I'll never ever call anybody a liar, and and that's not the whole point of the show. The problem I have is every single person that I have like sort of met who says they're a medium always do the, I've got George, I don't know if called George.
Yeah, but you should really force it.
Yeah, I know, but that's the problem that I have, is everybody I've come across has been hoaxed.
Yeah.
And they've been proven to be hoaxed. And because of that, obviously I've never experienced, so there's nobody, I mean, not that I've actually gone to anybody, but there's nobody ever come to me and gone, I've got your mother and she wants to.
But we had that conversation and you said that you wouldn't want her to come back.
You're absolutely right. I wouldn't because the reason I wouldn't want my mother to come back is because I don't want to lose her twice.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what would happen if she came back, because I would know that she would have to go again.
Yeah.
So I'd lose her twice, and I obviously don't want to lose my mother.
See,
I didn't want to lose her the first time, so I definitely don't want to lose her again. Samantha said, my family believe in a whole lot of many things, have come through on so many different things that have been put through. Quite a few people think our family are crazy. So there's quite a few things come through to Samantha's family. I mean, I don't know if Samantha's family are actual mediums or, you know, or that way inclined.
Right. You see,
I do know a little bit about Samantha's family's background, and therefore I understand that the sort of family who would have that sort of clairvoyancy or whatever, mediumship or whatever.
I had it. There's a few books that I've read, and there's a sort of, like I say,
because Samantha used to be a cadet many years ago.
Many years ago.
She was one of my first cadets.
Excellent.
Actually, yeah.
Well, the thing is like I say, what if you speak to somebody? Apparently, if we go back, say, 2,000 years ago, we would have all been sat around the campfire. And we were talking about the spirits from the spirit of the forefathers.
And
sort of like grandparents and friends and things that have passed in spirit, because obviously life expectancy back in those days
it was about 3 years, wasn't it?
But if you sort of go that sort of, if you look at sort of, I mean, even if you just look at sort of like, paganism and the spirits and stuff like that, and worshipping the different spirits, the solstices and things. But, I mean, there's obviously a massive subject we're going over. If we kind of get it down to actual spirit itself, we would have been having a normal conversation about, I felt the presence of the spirit of Uncle Bob.
Christine says she wouldn't fill anything in, and Diane says neither would she.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't. You wouldn't if you because I mean, with respect to Christine knows the score with things like this, and again, she would turn on her heels and walk out. Diane, she's got her head screwed on. She the same.
Well, the thing is, you don't want to give something away.
No, you don't.
Because the moment you give something away is the moment that it's no longer real.
Yeah.
Adam Gray's joined us.
Hello, Adam. Got the printer sorted. Printer collection.
All right.
Right. So I'll go back very quickly. Go back to what I was saying. So 2,000 years ago, we've been sitting around the campfire, we've been talking about these things and stuff like that. And then, of course, the Romans came over in this country and then introduced a semi-organized religion to us.
Yeah.
And then
obviously, I'm a Roman Catholic.
Exactly.
So, obviously, I come from that.
Yeah, and that was chipped down into what we have today. Now, the thing is, if you look at, no matter which, I had a really interesting conversation one time with, I was asked to be a godfather to a child.
Right.
And the parents of the child went to the vicar.
Just starting to show your age, buddy. There.
Yeah. 2,000 years. So no, but I went.
I'm sure the top of my head showing me age.
Yeah. So we
need to sort that camera out here.
We see the rings.
We need to lower it down a bit because it is a bit. Every time I'm looking at the camera, I just see the top of my head.
So I went to the church to speak to the vicar about becoming.
I didn't fill anything in when I saw Dave.
Yeah, godfather, and what we actually did then is we actually sat down and we actually sort of had a discussion, and he said, I'm a little bit worried about the fact that you're being a godfather. He says, and I says, well, I was born Church of England. I said I was brought up Methodist because my mum was in a Methodist church to say of a church.
Yeah.
But I says the fact is, at the end of the day, as I said, I've been a practicing spiritualist now for about 3 or 4 years, and I've done various things within the spiritualist church, i.e. go to Arthur Findlay College.
I've
sat in the medium development circle and stuff, which is what Christine's indicating in there and stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing is you talk of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, or the Holy Ghost, depending on where you are. I says we just know that the Holy Ghost exists and he talks to us.
Yeah.
And he was quite blown away with that, because I said when I go to church, I was an obviously practicing an SNU, Spiritual National Union.
Yeah.
So when I was going there, I was saying the Lord's Prayer. It's not about devil worshiping. The favourite thing is with it when you get like Jehovah's Witnesses as a prime example.
Yeah.
I was stood outside my house washing my car about 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Yeah, it looks like that's how long ago it was since you watched it, Dave.
And I was stood outside the house, and this lady came up to me and she said, hello. She said, I'd like to talk to you about God. And I went, that's wonderful. Because at the time I'd had an accident. I wasn't walking very well and stuff. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. I said, what do you want to talk about? And she started telling us about how God was going to embrace us. And at the end of the days, God was going to come back and take us all and take us to the promised land. And she started giving us a big speech and stuff like that. I turned around and I said, well, I believe in a God. In fact, I says, I believe in a divine spirit. I says, because I'm a spiritualist.
Mm.
The second I said that to her, she was away off up the street at 100 miles an hour. And then 5-10 minutes later, they walked past me. And there was a group of 5 or 6 of these guys, and they literally walked to the other side of the road.
Yeah.
When I was standing
So
watching
now
the
to
car.
do your religion, too.
I think I've been eating too much pepperoni pizzas. But no, the situation being is it's daft. And the thing is I can't. The only thing I can suggest to anybody out there is if you. I had a bit of a faith thing going on. I wanted to find what faith I was. So what I did was I went out to a load of different churches.
Yeah.
I went to a Catholic church. I went to a Church of England church.
Yeah,
I went to a Methodist church.
Yeah.
I went to a.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You're born into a religion, aren't you? I mean, I was born into a Roman Catholic family, so therefore I was brought up a Roman Catholic. Now I haven't got a problem with the Roman Catholic Church. You know, I don't attend. Doesn't mean I'm not a Roman Catholic.
But no, you see, like
I mean, we've had this conversation before. Just because I don't turn up to church doesn't mean I'm not. Because I don't get this whole practicing religion stuff.
My granddad Goldsmith.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, I was about 2.5 when he died. But if you speak to any member of my family, like aunties and uncles, his children, you speak to him, he was the most religious bloke you'll ever meet in your life. He never went to church. He never set foot in church. But
that's exactly what I'm saying.
He said a prayer. He said something. If he saw somebody that hurt themselves, or if they were in trouble or suffering, he would say a prayer for them and stuff. And it's not the fact that he was holier than thou. I mean, he was a boxing champion in the Navy.
Yeah.
He was a rough and ready chap with hands like shovels, etc. But the thing is, and this is the problem, we don't need, in the way we are today, about being a spiritual person, about having that, you know, I've got a wicked sense of humour. I'm still a spiritualist person. I'll say daft things and stuff like that. You know,
of course we do. Yeah.
But the thing is it's just about like taking that time out and sending up those, like, you know, a spiritualist will send positive thoughts to somebody.
Oh yeah.
You know, somebody's feeling down. I'm going to send a bit of healing and then we're sending a bit of love.
Yeah.
We all do it.
Yeah. I mean, well, if you go on Facebook at the minute, it's full of, you know, pray for Australia.
Absolutely.
And you know, I mean, obviously, it's not. Praying for Australia is not going to make a lot of difference. It's the whole thought pattern, isn't it?
It's just the fact is,
I can't personally do anything for Australia.
No.
I you know, even if I was a millionaire, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't fly across there and suddenly put the fires out. So to turn around and say, pray for Australia, people are sort of latching onto that as if they're doing something for Australia.
But if you think about it,
because obviously everybody wants to help them because you know, it's devastating. I mean, there are over 500 million animals have been wiped out. 30 people, you know, in like thousands and thousands. Like exactly. And obviously, you know, the whole smoke in the environment. So there's, you know, it's like totally changed the way of life in Australia.
The thing is, at the end of the day, is I don't know. I mean, the thing is there's also, I mean, you know, like I said, again, I'm a great fan of Howard Hughes, and like some of the things I've been listening to recently with Howard Hughes, and I'll have to look this up when we have a break. The name of the guy, I was actually listening to this today.
Yeah.
And what he's actually talking about is he's actually even the fact that he's sending out that positivity.
Yeah.
And it's not the Uri Geller factor before we go that far. But actually turning around to somebody and saying, you know, I'm sending you a positive thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is, at the end of the day, if you think about it, you're down in Australia, you're in the worst place possible. You know, you've got lungs full of smoke. It's absolutely disgusting. You can taste the smoke. I mean, it is.
Of course, yeah.
But even just the thought of thinking, there's thousands of people out there.
Well, I mean, I was going to say that on Facebook, you know, that you've got all these Pray for Australia things and what have you, and people are like, you know, obviously commenting on this and the other. And you have people from Australia thanking people.
Yeah.
You know, because they think, because it's the whole doctrine, isn't it? The people think that they're doing some help by praying, and the people in Australia think that we're helping them by praying.
You see, the thing for me is,
it's all about beliefs, isn't it?
They've had this money. Obviously, they've been raising all this money.
Yeah, of course. Well, the millions, isn't it? It's in the millions now.
And you look at some of them. You look at some of these guys. in sort of, I mean, like Gordon Ramsay's just gone out there and he's done a feed the people thing. And
Yeah,
like that,
well,
like,
exactly,
you know,
yeah.
and I think, you know, sometimes you've got to be a little bit. This is no disrespect to Gordon, but the thing is, sometimes you've got to be a little bit cynical about why somebody's doing this.
Well, the thing is, Elton John gave X amount, didn't he?
Well, it's a guy who owns Amazon, Jeff Bezos.
What you call it, Pink gives so much,
Yeah.
and other
Jeff
people give so much and whatever. And it's like, fair enough, great. They've got all this money, they've sent it to them, but did they need to tell everybody?
Yeah, the thing is, like I say,
Because they're not just gone, there's £5 million,
was he Jeff?
Got on with it.
Jeff Bezos or whatever, the guy who owns Amazon, he's just given 550. Was it hot?
Imogen.
£500,000 he's just thrown into the pot. He gave £500,000. And then somebody actually wrote underneath it going,
is that it?
He did a press release.
Yeah.
And they actually worked it out that his company, Amazon, makes that in 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And he says, if you're going to make a serious effort to it,
Yeah.
then you go on. Well, just have a look there. It's the Unexplained with Howard Hughes, and it's edition 187. Ernesto Oritz.
What's this?
This is what I was talking about again, about the positivity. You know,
right.
He's the guy's from Mexico. He was born in Mexico City, but he lives in California.
Right.
And he trains people, and he talks about how you know, how you have good times and you have bad times, and then they say that when you're born and you're indoctrinated into what we were talking about before, you were born a Roman Catholic, so that is your way, you know.
I mean, sometimes that's the way I was brought up, wasn't it?
And that, but he says here what he have the ability to do to go in back and sort of look at things when things were put on us.
Yeah.
And about things like toxic people, all sorts of different things that he was talking about. It's quite an interesting episode.
Yeah.
And he actually talks about being the positive and about throwing the positivity out there.
And
he's got a theory which I thought was quite clever.
Right.
Right. And obviously it depends on what you look at, but about dark matter. You know how scientists talk about dark matter.
Yeah.
And you've heard about how love is the thing that binds the universe together. Have you heard that theory?
No.
There's a theory about how love binds the universe together.
Right.
All right, and now what they're actually saying is the dark matter.
It's probably because I didn't love anybody. That's what
what
are you trying to say, Dave?
But no, he goes into it. It's I mean, it's obviously we'd have to go right into the detail of it. But the thing is it's quite a clever thing what he's actually saying.
Yeah.
And what he's actually saying is about being more positive.
Yeah.
Just even the fact that you're putting out a positive energy, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is actually going to make some form of a difference to somebody.
Yeah. Well, it does. I mean, it's like if you're walking down the road and somebody, you know, and you just strolling down the road and somebody says hello to you, you know, you get that bit of positivity.
Yeah.
Because you know, I mean, I'm not a lonely person. I mean, as you know, with my job, I spend my job around people. Or people.
I was going to say, after you've done your job, you just want to look yourself in the house.
Or people around me, should I say, because obviously they get into my environment. So, you know, I spend a lot of time with people, and I spend a lot of time with people that I wouldn't want to spend time with at all. But obviously, I do spend time with them. So I'm not a lonely person. But still, nice it's still nice to walk into a shop and see somebody that you haven't seen for quite some time, you know, and you hear the voice of "Hello, Paddy" or whatever. You know, I mean, there's a guy came up to me. I actually put it on Facebook. I mean, I'm going back a couple of months now, but a guy came up to me when I was having some food in the restaurant in Asda, and he came up and he went, "I haven't seen you for ages. What are the car here again?" You know, and so I went. So I obviously said to him, "You know, my name's Paddy," and he went, "Ah, that's it." I was like, "Oh, thanks for telling me. Thanks for like, but getting me my name right, you know." But when somebody says hello or something like that, there's that positivity, isn't it?
Yeah.
You feel a lot better, you know. And it's like it's like as I say, in my job, when somebody gets out of the car, you know, they might. It's nice passing someone, even if you don't know them, when they smile and say hello.
Yeah, exactly. I was dog sitting at the weekend, and I was walking around.
You were sitting on dogs.
Yeah, I was.
Brandon.
Hello, Brandon. I was dog sitting at the weekend, and I was walking out, and I was out.
I don't know why I went, Brandon.
It was a horrible day, and I was walking around the grass.
Yeah.
On the seafront at South Shields here, and loads of people just said hello to us, and I just thought,
Mm.
you know, I've never met you before.
Yeah.
And sometimes just, I mean, I remember the last time we had the dog.
And I think that's when people go from the north, go down south, and they
Yeah,
get
it's
on a bus,
different,
and people don't even want to look at you. And I think that's what gives us the negativity of, because if you talk to a northerner, it's always, oh, they keep miserable down in London. But they probably aren't. They're probably really nice people, but because they live in a society where they don't say hello to people and this, that, and the other, then we, coming from a society who speak to everybody and literally anybody, because we go down into their environment, we automatically assume that they're horrible people or, you know, miserable people because of the fact that they don't talk to us.
I think, like I said, the first ever time I went to London and I saw that guy, the guy actually had a heart attack in front of us. I mean, we were kids.
Right.
We didn't know what to do.
Right.
Our school teacher, who we were with, because we were on a science trip to the Science Museum, he went over to help this bloke, but there was people literally stepping over them.
Yeah.
And
same thing. I mean, but the thing is, the same thing.
I
was going to say the same thing happened at concert. I was walking. I can't remember why. I mean, I'm going back a couple of years now, but I went to the High Street concert. I was just going to say that about London. I said hi to a few people, and they looked at me like I was going to try and sell them something. Yeah. Did you have a suitcase with you at the time and whatever? And I was like, oh, look at how. But yeah, and this old woman literally face planted the floor, and there was people not literally stepping over her, but there was people, you know, stepping by her to carry on with whatever they were doing. Yeah. And but then when I went across, and I sort of that's Titus Jennings tomorrow. When I went across to actually help her, then people were like having a go at me, as in, "What do you think you're doing?" As if I was mugging the woman because you fell out.
I mean, just going in. I mean, my day job, I'm training people to do.
She had out in her pockets, no.
Day job, I'm teaching people to do first aid, and the fact is there's a lot of people now that are turning around and they're sort of like, there's a group of guys I was training, you know, just after New Year.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, well, should we go get stuck in if we see somebody? Mm. Are they going to sue us? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that?
That's the thing. Morally, you don't have to.
Yeah.
There's nothing morally, or you know, or there's no legal requirement, should I say? Morally, you should. There's no legal requirement. If me and you were walking down the road, and an old woman fell in front of us, we could legally step over that woman and carry on with our conversation. And
morally, I couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. But legally, nothing. A doctor can legally step over somebody and walk away and not, you know, have a problem with it. Or there not be a problem. But morally, and obviously under the Hippocratic oath that he's took, he should morally help that person, but he doesn't legally have to.
I was talking to a guy last week, and he was talking about his son was playing football, and he said, he goes, the other guy, like obviously member of the team, came down, and his son was playing full paramedic uniform.
Yeah.
2 kids collided, battered doors.
We almost got onto the paranormal. We got paramedic.
And he got, you know what I mean? He sort of got, they got knocked out. There was blood all over the place. And he said, no, I'm not treating them. He says, I don't have to. And there was a bit of an issue with it. But going back, taking us back full circle, back to paranormal, the fact is, at the end of the day, is what I've always said to people about this is people need sometimes to go and seek stuff. They need to seek some kind of, emotional sustenance, or they need to go and
well, they do, because I mean, especially in this day and age, we have so many mental health issues, and it's because of the negativity. I mean, the problem we have nowadays, and we're using pretty much it all as we're sitting in this room now. You've got the internet, which we're using. You've got Facebook, which we're using. You know, you've got communication, the radio station that we're using. We've got the chat room here. All these communications. And it's so easy for me to send you a message and call you all the names under the sun.
Yeah.
And that message arrives instantly. So I can literally go, Dave, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
and you've got it.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about that because you've got it.
Yeah.
You can't stop that from getting to you.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what you can delete it. I mean, I can delete any comment on Facebook now. I can delete any. I can clear the whole chat room. We can switch the radio off. We can do anything, but it's already there. The comments are there.
I went through a phase when I was at school, just for about a year, maybe, I don't know, just under a year, where I was bullied by this one particular kid at school. Right now, the thing was for me is when I left school.
Yeah.
And got on the bus. He was on the same bus as me.
Yeah.
When the bus pulled up outside my house, obviously where I lived was right out in the middle of the country. When I got off, I had the whole weekend off until 8:30 on the Monday morning, where I got on the bus and he
But that whole weekend, you dreading that 8:30.
Kids today, with all these sort of electronic, and it's like you hear the kids. I mean, I've seen so many things on Facebook, social media, stuff where little kids have got phones and stuff like that. I'm walking around seeing kids holding phones. And I was sitting having a cup of coffee with Mark last week, and we were watching these two young lasses going in and out of Starbucks, doing all the Instagram photos and stuff.
And the thing is, sometimes these phones are bigger than the kids.
Yeah.
You know, like texting away on these phones, and these phones are like massive compared to
this girl, she's like, oh, I'll put it on my Instagram account. If this girl was a day over 10, I would have been gobsmacked.
And yet, it states on all the social medias, exactly. It states that they can't have them, but I know many, many people who have Facebook.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it's become the way of communicating.
But the stories.
I mean, the amount of time you hear somebody else say, I'll send you a message on Facebook.
Yeah. Stories of like things like this TikTok, which is kids it's a film.
Nice.
There's kids getting groomed on stuff like that.
It's
absolutely, it's terrible.
Well, the thing is, I mean, it's as you say, the grooming side of it. I mean, I can sit here and I can send a message to anybody.
Yeah.
Now, you know, some 11-year-old girl could answer that message, and I can sit here and say, you know, what did you do at school today? I did such and such.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I can pretend to be anybody I want to be, and that's where the grooming comes from. Because obviously, you then start, you know, like sort of being nice and, you know, and getting them until you get them really friendly, and then it's like sort of, you know, do you want to come and like meet somewhere? You know, let's go and get some ice cream or right. I don't know, I'm maybe going back to America in 1950s when they used to go to all these like sort of diners and whatever, but something like that. And then this kid turns up, and obviously, you know.
You see, I mean, I laugh at it. Go back to my day. It's like you're leaving your front door open. And I always remember one of the places I worked not so long ago. We actually used to have young people coming in. We used to show them these videos and stuff. But there was one about grooming. And about the amount of information, i.e. like photographs of school uniforms and things like that. And obviously it's a massive subject we can go down to. But I think
because we hear about the paranormal experience.
It's leaving the door, it's leaving the door open.
Yeah.
It's like leaving your front door open and letting anybody else into your house. It's your personal space.
Well, that's exactly what Facebook is, isn't it? Because you're posting, you know, I mean, people are posting pictures of what they had for the tea. People are posting pictures of what they did that particular day. You know, and you are literally just posting pictures of anything or talking about anything. Yeah, or talking about anything, you know, like sort of, you know, I've just been to Newcastle today and, you know, and bought this, you know, I paid £3,000 for this TV, you know, and then there's a picture of them with the TV.
Little kids.
And it's like sort of, well done, mate, you've just advertised your house to the local burger.
Yeah, little kids going into Starbucks and taking a photograph of the fancy drink that they've got with cream on the top.
Exactly. How many times have you had a cup of coffee and thought, oh, I'm going to take a photo of that? None, because what I do with a cup of coffee is drink it.
Make it.
You know, if I went into, is it Starbucks where they write on your cup?
Yes.
If I went in there and they wrote something stupid on my cup, then I'd probably take a picture of it. You know, look how they spelt my name. You know, like, I mean, McGough is a prime example. You know.
Well, M's brilliant whenever she
Well,
asks.
yeah, exactly. I mean, her full name.
Yeah.
You know,
She gets Emma.
Yeah,
It's like, she gets really annoyed about it. It's
yeah.
quite funny.
Well, exactly.
What's it, who's a drink for? Emma.
That's not her name, is it?
No,
it's not
just
Emma,
wait for
is it? Well, no, because we're not. I mean, she's got like an iconic name.
Yeah.
Because there was a woman that has her name who did the most iconic thing.
Yeah.
So she has a very iconic name. So I'd be upset. You know, I mean, I get upset when people call me Goffy. My name's not Goffy. My name's McGoff. It's got an MC at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
You call me McGoffy all you want, but just remember there's an MC. It doesn't start with Goffy. It doesn't start with a G. It starts with an M. You know, so
I'm thinking some of the commentations I've called you, but never mind.
Well, there's many things people have called me.
But no, I think getting back to spiritualism and spiritual.
Whoa, we're getting back to paranormal.
No, but I think there's a lot of people out there that are spiritually void at the moment, and I think
spiritually void. Oh, right, yeah. Oh, without a shadow of doubt, is the problem is, it's the old adage of I believe something, you believe something, so therefore I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah. Or if you don't believe what I believe, if I shout loud enough, that's going to make you believe.
Yeah.
Which we've just seen. Yeah. God forbid, and God say it out loud, the way that we've just gone. The last 3 years that we've gone through politically in this country.
Yeah, exactly.
These people who are going to stand there and go.
And they're going to be carrying on even after January 31st.
Yeah.
There's going to be people who are fighting. I mean, it destroyed one person's career. I mean, she was voted out of Parliament straight away. And so she said she was going to go against the vote. Because, and it's all about reading your audience, isn't it?
Yeah. I think listening to what they're telling you. And listening to people.
Yeah, but you should know your audience before you start, though, shouldn't you? I mean, we didn't start this show on the hope that people who enjoyed paranormal were going to get in touch with us.
No.
We started the show because there was people who liked paranormal.
We might even talk about paranormal.
Yeah, we might get into paranormal at some point. But yeah, so we started the show because of the interest in paranormal, not because we thought people would get in touch with us.
Yeah.
So you've got to read your audience and know what your audience wants. And then if I was to say, let's talk about ghosts, and people, every single person, that was listening went, well, I'm not listening to you talking about ghosts. I don't want to hear about ghosts. I want to hear about monsters and things there. So therefore, we never talk about ghosts because the audience doesn't want us to talk about it.
You've got to give the variety and engage what people want to talk about and stuff. And
exactly.
The two of us here filling in. We've got
filling in.
The thing is it would be nice to have people ringing in. We've had. I mean, dare I say, Christine, bless her, she's rang in a few times and stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact is, it'd be nice to get to that point where people are ringing us and talking to us about stuff. But I mean, we're kind of like fumbling our way around. So
I think I mean, when you think about how the show originally was meant to be,
yes,
it was meant to be me talking for 4 hours originally, and it was only because your mother mentioned the Schooner Hotel that I brought you in, and then eventually you got the bug and you wanted to join in and I would chat, and it definitely works a lot better than me talking, because I mean I could sit here and I could rhyme off all the pseudosciences, tell you all about them, but there's no feedback, as you say. There's nobody ringing up. We've got people in the chat room, but other than that, there's nobody ringing up. So it would literally be me for 4 hours talking about things. So it's nice to have the two sort of
which I think again is a lost form. There was I'm going to say it, cracking thing I saw on Facebook the other day was they gave two 14, 15-year-old lads an old dial phone. You remember the old dial phones?
Yeah.
Put it down in front of them and said, right lads, there's your telephone number. You've got to dial that number.
Yeah.
And these two lads
didn't have a clue.
Were trying to press, they couldn't work the telephone number. Now, the thing is I think, and again, I mean, we've both been in the situation where we've been working with young people. When you see the lack of communication in, with young people at the moment, I really do worry for the future of how kids are gonna like losing communication skills and things like that because you see
Well,
some of them.
you do, don't you?
I mean,
You don't want me ringing in because I don't shut up.
exactly.
Samantha. Yeah, but the thing is, as we say, we've got.
Christine's just said, she says they were trying to die without lifting the phone off the hook.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Yeah,
was kinda-
But I was watching the one where it was cassette tapes,
Oh, yeah.
and they give them a Walkman. So obviously they were trying to like just ram this cassette tape into this Walkman, not opening it, just literally trying to ram it through the front cover. Then when they got it in, they obviously pressed play because it has a play button on it, so they knew to press play. And they pressed play. Well, obviously there's no noise coming out of it, and they were like, "Well, how's it?" So then the presenter had to give them a set of headphones.
Yeah.
So then they were like looking for somewhere to plug these headphones in.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just plugging in the phone socket, you know. So then eventually they got it on and they put it on and they were like, "So how do I skip this song?" And they were like, "Well, you've got to fast forward." What?
Yeah.
The fact that you had to fast forward it.
I tell you, we were in a second-hand shop in Sunderland. Was it just before Christmas? Was it just before Christmas? Just after Christmas? Wanted to go out and get some CDs, you know, like a CD collection for her show. And somebody had said, "Oh, you want to try going around the second-hand shops because a lot of these like musical collections and stuff." So we went at this second-hand shop, and I walked in, and on the shelf at the back of the room was a 3D Superwoofer. I don't know if you remember the 3D Superwoofer.
Yeah, do I? Yeah.
Right, it was up for sale for £30, and I was.
It was with £300-400 when they were.
They were. But joking aside, £269.
Oh yeah, I thought they were about £300. Yeah.
Now, when I lived at the schooner, there was a girl who lived in the schooner. I used to borrow her.
Yeah. You mentioned that. Yeah.
And it got stolen.
Yeah.
From the hotel.
The spirits came and took it, didn't it? Yeah.
No, they didn't. Spoiled my fun.
Yeah. So anyway, channeling.
Yes, channeling.
But yeah, what we were saying before about the mental health, it's so easy to send a message to somebody and say something derogative. And the problem is, because we live in a society that are, what's the best word to use? Not as tough as we were.
Robust.
Not as robust as we were. So therefore, it gets to them. Now, I'll never use the phrase snowflake.
No.
The reason I won't use the phrase snowflake, and there's many people out there probably totally going to disagree with me and totally throw things at the computer and what have you. People say that they're getting offended at things because they're snowflakes. Is it because they're snowflakes, or is it because they now have the goal to stand up, whereas we would go, that's the way it is. That's life. Let's get on with it. Whereas they're standing there now going, no, stop doing that. Because all you read on Facebook is these people going on about snowflakes and how, you know, when I was a kid, so people automatically resume back to when they were a kid. And they'll say things like, when I was a kid, you know, I used to get smacked off my mother and it didn't do me any harm. Maybe it didn't, but it's still violence towards a child.
I don't know. You see, the fact is I think is it from the discipline. I think the word.
There's a difference between discipline and beating a child.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the problem, you see, is because I think what's happened is discipline and beating a child have been lumped into one factor.
Yeah.
So being disciplined, I had an uncle who was absolutely spectacular, God rest his soul, who I used to bite my nails when I was a kid. I was always chomping away on my nails and stuff. So we
used to be able to get that stuffed in your nail bite or something.
Mum tried that, and
I was going to say I know people who actually preferred it.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't mind certain bitter tastes I can get away with.
You know, well, as you can see from 9 nails, I don't bite them.
So, and what happened was I was stood there, and my uncle, technically he wasn't an uncle, but we called him uncle.
Yeah.
But he was married into the family, and he used to give me. He was an ex RSM of Royal Artillery RSM, and the battery sergeant major as well.
Yeah.
And he used to give me a fingernail inspection every time he says. So I had to stand to attention. Had to have. I mean, you're talking the age of 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Have my fingernails out, and I used to get a telling off.
Yeah.
Now that to me was discipline.
Yeah.
Because he went, you bit your nails. That is incorrect. You shouldn't do that. La, 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 la.
Yeah.
You know, and he used to.
Yeah, but if he come in with his pay stick
and smack us
and
round
smack
the head.
your out, well, smack your hand because of the fact that you've been biting your nail. That's where the problem lies, and that's why corporal punishment was done away with at schools and this, that, and the other, because it got to the point where teachers were beating kids.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, I had the sand shoe. I remember the PE teacher cracking me across the backside with the sand shoe, but I had the strap. Now I didn't. It's not that I didn't mind the strap, because obviously it hurt my hand, so of course I minded the strap. But it sort of like made me think, you know, I ain't doing that again. So I can understand that discipline, but then you had teachers who went that little bit further.
Yeah.
I mean, Diane will tell you about a teacher that from our school, you know, who had a kid hanging out of a school window. You know, I think that was in Diane's actual year. You know, held a kid outside of a window.
There's a very, very famous incident that happened at school that I was at.
Don't know what this has got to do with the paranormal.
No, it was very, very, very.
Yeah, Diane says, yeah.
Yeah, it was a guy.
He was a kid, school teacher. Yeah, the
The guy, the school teacher, accused me of doing something.
Yeah.
Well, he was a games teacher.
And it was from the 3rd floor as well, so it wasn't like ground floor where you just drop him and you know, get a couple of booties. I mean, if he dropped the kid, he would have killed him.
This teacher had a go at me. I'd gone in, and I was actually at the time I was actually on crutches because I had a problem with my knees when I was about 12, and because I didn't have a letter from my mum, because it had been an ongoing thing. My mum said, "Oh, you don't need a letter," and I begged my mum to give us a letter before going in. And he says, "Oh, because you haven't got a letter." He made us in my vest and underpants go around the 400 meters track on for an entire lesson, like a double lesson, going round the 400 meter track on my crutches. Of course, I went round 3 times, and by this point, I had blisters on my hands. And I could barely move my arms, and my parents had to be called, and my dad got us in the car, sat us down, looked at the state. It was obviously I was a little bit upset by it. And, you know, I had the blisters on my hands and stuff.
Of course,
And he turned around and he said, "What happened?" And I told my dad what happened. And he reversed that car down that driveway of that school, and he went and found that teacher, and he had him by the throat up against the wall and said he was going to kill him.
Yeah.
And when I got in, a couple of weeks, because I think I was off for a week. We were off for a week, and then it was off for half term. And when I went back in, that teacher leaned over right in my face and said, "I'm going to make your life miserable the rest of your time at this school."
And that's exactly why we had to do away with corporate punishment, because there was teachers there who took it too far. There's parents who have took it too far.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember as the car parking standing, me stepping in, and I always regret it, but I don't, if that makes any sense. And the reason I don't regret it is because this kid was getting brayed. And I mean properly brayed. I mean, the kid's mother, when the kid was falling over, was dragging him up by his arm to bray him some more. And then obviously he was falling on the floor. Now I stepped in and said, you know, "What do you think you're doing?" sort of thing. Yeah, well, words to that effect anyway. You know, stop doing that. You know, and obviously, you know, I got the usual response. "Look, it's got to do with you, this, that, and the other." And I said, "Well, you know, you're braying a child," and obviously, you know, I'm a little bit calmer now than what I was at the time, you know. And so then I walked away, and the second I walked away, I thought to myself, "Paddy, you've totally done the wrong thing now, because that kid is going to get brayed when he gets home."
Yeah.
And it's going to be, "You've embarrassed me in public," and he's probably going to get worse than what he would have gotten if I just let her get on with it. But the thing is, I couldn't, because my moral standards, my, you know, moral being told me that what she was doing was wrong.
Kenton, Bangford, not Kenton, Bangford, Kenton, or was it Forden? It used to be a quick save, and I was Ford, I think it was.
Yeah.
I was across there at one stage, and there was a bloke in there with his son, and his son was having a temper tantrum, and he hoofed this kid. He kicked him like a rugby ball across the floor. And I walked up to the bloke and said, "If I see you ever do that again," I said, "I'll kill you." And he laughed at us, and he went, "Short guy syndrome, basically." He says, "Oh, I'm gonna hit that," and he went for us, and I grabbed him by the throat, and I said to him, "I'm going to take out, you know."
Yeah.
As I was going out the door, as I had him, I was pushing. I dropped my basket, and I was walking out the door with him. The police came in.
Yeah.
And I had a stern talking to
the
police officer for that. But he said, "You're lucky," because he said that lady there has just told me
exactly
what you've done, and you've stopped the kid from getting kicked. So, you know, and I would do exactly the same again. You hold the head on.
And that's where that's why Brian or the beating of children had to stop. I mean, I know it still happens. You read about it all the time, but that's the reason why that stopped. And there's a lot of things, you know, racism, sexism, homophobia, all that had to be stopped. And it's took a generation, because I'll openly admit my generation were racist, homophobic, and sexist. How many times did people of my generation tell jokes about women, you know, and how they should be chained to a kitchen sink and this, that, yeah? How many times did somebody call somebody of colour?
Yeah.
You know, and how many times did somebody call somebody who was gay?
You see, the thing is, I went to school in Birmingham for a very, very short spell.
Yeah.
So that kind of, I did see a different side just in that short period of time. For the 2 years that I was, about 18 months I was down there, I did see a completely different side of things and stuff. So obviously when I came back up to the northeast, and we had our first, I'll never forget the lad and him and his sister coming to school, the first Indian kids in the school.
Yeah.
And he was a thoroughly nice lad. Really nice lad.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But by God, he got some jip.
Oh, yeah. And this is what I'm saying.
Stuck up for him.
Yeah. And this is what I'm saying. Yeah. When people are posting things on Facebook and then other people are calling them snowflakes, it's like, yeah, it wouldn't have happened in my day.
But you see, your other thing.
Yeah, it wouldn't have happened in your day because you're a bigot.
But
that's
you see,
why.
The fact is you've got this problem as well, though, where there's certain things and stuff that you look at, and I mean, like there's certain TV programs and things that you look at the day that were technically incorrect, racially incorrect.
Yeah.
And there's some that they've gone, no, that could be quite offensive. I mean, like the famous example is It Ain't Our Fault Mum.
Yeah.
With the guy who plays the Indian.
Because he wasn't an Indian, was he?
Well, no, but he was born in India.
I was going to say what he was, but he wasn't.
He wasn't.
It's because of the whole black face.
Yes, but because he had the thing on, and everybody's going on saying, well, you know, there was that famous TV program. I think it was about 2 years ago or a year ago, where they said to them, "Is this? Do you find?" They actually showed it. People said, "Do you find this racist?"
Yeah.
And they went, "No, it's funny."
Yeah.
It's even funny if you know.
But it's like I've often said to people when they get in the taxi, the problem that we have is people are scared to do anything in case they offend somebody.
Yeah.
Not that they have offended somebody, it's in case they offend somebody. But that doesn't make it right. You know, there's ways of doing things without being offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I said one night on, I think it was the show, there'll be things on Amber on radio that people find offensive.
Some of the songs that I play
Yeah.
occasionally, they'll have a swear word in.
But you're not trying to offend.
No.
There's a difference between somebody being offended and you being offensive.
Yeah.
And that's where the balance is. You might say something which offends somebody, but it's not you being offensive.
No,
it's just
never
them that have been offended by what you've said.
Never intention. I mean, this is a situation again in my day-to-day job when I've got to be careful about, you know, we have sort of certain situations and stuff.
We will get on to the paranormal at some point.
Yeah, but I still think the greatest example of that was when we did when I did some of my CPC training.
Yeah.
And I won't say any of the companies where we were.
No.
Doing.
Yeah.
But we had the world's most racist bloke on.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there and he was giving it the thing. Now the fact is, the end of the day is that bloke would have been semi-dangerous had he got his facts right. And how
Well,
some of the things,
isn't that the problem with a lot of these racists and homophobes and sexists and this, that, and the other? They haven't got a clue what they're talking about.
But I genuinely wanted this bloke to get hiding. It was. I was thinking to myself, I could get out. Me, Em and Gordon, who were there on the course together, could get out the room.
And close the doors.
As long as she was all right.
Stick a broom in the handles and stuff.
Just let them crack on. But this guy started with one specific group of people and worked his way around the planet. And I get the whole factor, hate everybody as equally as everybody else. I get that.
Yeah.
You know, some people will smile and think that's really, really funny.
Yeah.
Some people won't. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised he hasn't joined us tonight.
Yeah, but I mean.
Oh, Stephen's back in the Facebook.
Excellent.
I've just said it again. The Facebook.
The Facebook. But no, you get that sort of situation where you look at things and you just think to yourself, do you know what? You know, if somebody's all right with me, I'll be all right with you. If you're an arse with me, I'll be an arse with you. It's kind of, you know. Yeah. And it's getting back to that.
Bottom for anybody out there. So anyway. Before we go for a break, Dave, I think we should finish off this channel and stuff because we've definitely gone.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to knock my mate. I'm just going to grab it something to drink. All right.
Right.
I'm listening.
All right. So obviously, you know, we've got the we've got a guy called Sania Roman and Dwayne Packer, who are authors of the Open to channel How to Connect with Your Guide. Channeling is a powerful means of spiritual unfoldment and conscious transformation. As you channel, you build a bridge to the higher realms, a loving, caring, purposeful, collective higher conscious that has been called God, and all that is for the universal mind. Channeling avoids conscious shifting your mind and mental space in order to achieve an expanded state of consciousness. So it's what we were saying. It's all about sending positivity out to the world. So whether that's, you know, pray for Australia, you know, pray for Africa, whatever, it's not about giving as much money as you possibly can. It's about you channeling your positivity towards that. And I do know, I mean, as I've said many times, and people are probably sick of hearing me saying it, I don't believe in the paranormal. But somebody posted about Australia.
Yeah.
Pray for Australia in this area. And it, you know, obviously thousands and thousands of people commenting on it and this, that, and the other, you know, saying, you know, sending out prayers, sending out this, that, and the other. And it rained.
Right.
Not enough, obviously,
but
it rained.
Right. Medically, and again, there's various forms of research and stuff like that, right? We only use a very, very small percentage of the brain.
Oh,
and obviously we are still trying to work out, well, not me personally, but there are people out there who are trying to work out about the brain. Now, I do believe that there is more to it, and I do believe in the power of positivity without going to...
no, it's like we said before, if somebody walks past you and says hello, you get that little bit of a...
It's that little bit of a smile.
Yeah.
Just even if you're standing somewhere and somebody smiles at you, you smile back at them and stuff like that. Absolutely classic example of that today. There was a lovely lady in front of us in a wheelchair. I was standing in the queue in the
shop. You took her out?
No. Yeah. She was sitting in front of us.
That almost sounded like you were thinking about it there, Dave.
No, it was just we had a right good giggle. That conversation. It was really, really funny. So there's 4 or 5 of us stood in the queue.
Yeah.
And these 2 women started having a go behind us, going, "Oh, I can't believe this queue and that." There's always a queue here, and they've only got 1 member of staff on, and there's 4 members of staff outstanding.
That's normally the case, isn't it?
And I turned around and went, "Well, it's bog standard customer service." This woman laughed at us, and she says, "Well, it's never good enough, is it?" I says, "Well, you know," I says, we're all sometimes too much in a hurry, and we're just waiting for things to happen."
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, out of random nowhere, this random bloke just walked up to the counter and stood where the woman was serving the other woman. Then she jumped on and started serving this other bloke. And this woman in the wheelchair was like, "I can't believe it. I've been waiting here." And I went, don't worry about it. I says, "He'll be out of the way shortly." And funny enough, it lasted forever.
No.
Right? And obviously she turned around and stuff. And she got straight to the counter. And the woman went, "Hello." You know, now usually in certain places they'll say, "I'm sorry for your wait."
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes it's the most unsincere.
Well, it is. They're saying it purely because they're saying it, aren't they?
And she got up to the thing and she said, "I can't believe you just served that guy. That guy wasn't even in the queue. He just like walked up. And she started giving this woman a proper rocking. And I'm like, ooh, feisty. And like I walked up and she's like, going and she says, yes. And she says, even this gentleman here, I mean, she actually referred to us as young man, so I'll give you somewhere. And she was having a
She's obviously a bit senile, wasn't
no,
she?
she wasn't. She had marbles over there. And she started having to go, and I says, and she said, what happened? And I said, the woman, the second woman who was serving by this point, she was serving me, and she said, what happened? I said, the guy just walked to the front of the queue, and she just ignored everybody behind him. And she went, all right, she said, I'm really sorry about that. But the way she said it was genuine. It was like, oh, you know, and the woman was like, I'm really sorry, you know. No, I mean, I've been in the shop a few times. I've met both those people before, and they both are, you know, quite nice people to deal with and stuff like that. But I was just kind of like laughing it off.
Yeah.
But the two women behind's going, oh, well, I must be getting grumpy at my age and all this, lot, and the other stuff like that. And I walked past, I said, yeah, it's excellent fun being the grumpy old getting it. Look at this. You know, as I walked out the thing, because I thought, you've got to make light of the situation, because the two women behind the counter were going to get a very hard time.
Oh, yeah, of course you do, yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, anybody who deals with people, you know, they get a rough deal. Because you know, I mean, I'm either going too slow, I'm going too fast, I'm going the wrong way, I'm charging too much. I mean, I have no say in how much I charge.
No.
That's the council. The council will decide on the fares, but it's my fault. It's my fault I'm late. I got the job 2 seconds ago, and I've come and picked you up, but it's my fault I'm late.
And I've seen the way you drive.
Exactly.
or fly.
I always try and get some air at some point.
Yeah, but the thing is, and
that's air, not hair.
Hair. But the point is, I think the point is for me at the end of the day, though, is I think the fact is we've all kind of gone to this sort of like insulating cocoon or insulating bubble and stuff, and we've withdrawn ourselves, and we do not. The art of communication is completely lost.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, it is. Yeah, definitely.
It's gone.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I've had people in my taxi, and I've been sitting there, and one's been in the front, one's been in the back, and they've actually been texting each other.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like, well, all you got to do is like turn around and dial, you know. I wouldn't have been as cool as you. I would have said to him, excuse me, but there is a queue. Yeah, I must admit, I'd have done exactly the same.
You see, the thing is, though, is like, Christine, you've got a point there, but the thing was, is like, say the woman in the wheelchair did everything she needed to do. She was on it. She was all over it like that. And she had a laugh for that. And she said, I was standing outside the shop sorting out stuff to go in my pocket.
Yeah.
And she come past us on a little scooter thing that she was on, and that she said, see you later. And I was like, bye-bye. So at least we had a bit of positive communication out of it and stuff, which is quite nice as well. Yeah. But then again, potentially, all right, I could have been the first person that my woman had a conversation with, other than said hi or or,
oh yeah,
you know,
absolutely,
or, you know, and that factor of having that, you know, and it's quite, that scares me.
Yeah.
A bit like us on a Sunday and a Wednesday chatting on here, even though it's the same sofa.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
well, they do. I mean, often the Watson family will sit on a Wednesday and Sunday, and they'll have a chat through the chat room.
Yeah.
And they're all sitting in the same room.